Happy New Year and welcome to Greg Kelly Reports. I'm Michael Grimm in for Greg tonight. Now, as millions celebrate the ringing in of a new year, the United States faced difficulties and challenges literally at every turn in 2023. We had an administration who flaunted this great new economic policy, Bidenomics, promising to solve all economic woes.
President Biden lays out his so-called Bidenomics plan.
Bidenomics is a simple and straightforward principle.
The White House calls this Bidenomics.
Bidenomics, get used to it.
Bidenomics, which is the word of the day, word of the week, word of the month, word of the year.
Guess what? Bidenomics is working.
Yeah, I don't think so, Joe, because under Bidenomics, we saw individual wealth decline and the American dream become more and more elusive for so many hardworking American families. You know, across 7 swing states, 35% of voters trust Biden with the economy. And the majority think the economy was a lot better under Donald Trump. And they're not wrong. Under his leadership, or I should say lack thereof, Biden has made our country more vulnerable and more susceptible to illicit drugs, terrorists and gangs, and an invasion of mostly military-age males, the likes of which we've never, ever seen before. All while the administration does everything in their power to prevent the border states like Texas from protecting their citizens themselves, from taking, the necessary measures they need to stem the endless flow of migrants, overwhelming their systems, depleting their resources, and jeopardizing their very way of life. The proof's right there. The numbers of encounters at our southern border was a record high this December. That's just this past month at 302,000. Throughout 20 and 23, we saw the continuation of progressive Democrats buying and paying for advocates sitting in prosecutor offices in many major cities that resulted in a plague of organized retail crime, citizens afraid for their own safety, and the reality that they can't even defend themselves without being the ones prosecuted. We saw the rise of protests supporting terrorists and war crimes, with our police ordered to stand down and watch, while clueless college kids and their woke professors glorify anti-Semitism and ultimately a very strong undercurrent of anti-American sentiment. By the end of 2023, the world just seemed upside down. Most ordinary Americans, they're shaking their heads, wondering, how did we get here? How did it get so bad? Even the justice system was corrupted, but that shouldn't have been any surprise. Once the government started teaming up with big tech to censor and squelch the voices of dissent, we should have known that the horse had left the barn with respect to democracy as we knew it. So when the FBI started investigating parents who complained at school board meetings because they don't want their children being taught they are inherently racist or there's no difference between girls and boys, a flare should have gone off. Those parents were literally labeled domestic terrorists. And then once the DOJ fell to political corruption, it shouldn't have been a surprise for what followed. What we saw in 2023, with instance after instance of the court being used to bludgeon political opponents. So far, 2 states, Colorado and Maine, have already declared former President Trump banned from their respective primary ballots. And the swamp and fake establishment media, they're ecstatic over this.
This is a stunning decision here from the Colorado Supreme Court.
This is a historic level of accountability for January 6th and for Donald Trump's actions on January 6th.
There's no dispute. I mean, we saw it on television, and we know what happened. He fomented, he engaged in an insurrection. He wanted this to happen.
But in Maine, I think Shanna Bellows made the right decision. I do think Secretary Bellows is brave and courageous.
Clearly, Donald Trump is an insurrectionist. Clearly, the Constitution bans you from running for office, holding office, if you are an insurrectionist. So on those sort of fundamental, easiest points, it seems like a slam dunk.
If I didn't hear it and see it, I wouldn't believe it. You can't make this stuff up. But all of this is after a host of civil and criminal cases filed against Trump based on the most implausible interpretations of the law ever seen. And this last year, we saw due process get eviscerated, all in the name of destroying a single man, Donald Trump. And therein lies the irony. The way I see it, we're going so far down the woke radical rabbit hole that we need something very special to bring us out. Many might say we need to look to the future generations, but is that really the answer? Our public schools are failing in record numbers, and most students barely able to read or write. Students are more concerned with schools, that is, are more concerned with making sure that children have access to sex change operations and hormone therapy that are basically irreversible, not math, reading, or science. Lest we forget, the most prestigious universities in the world are infested with radicals chanting genocide rhetoric after an entire year of lecturing us on inclusivity and diversity. That isn't ironic. It's insane. So how does 2024 turn things around and restore hope and a normal vision for a better future? How do we install the moral fibers necessary to reject genocide of all human races and refurbish an element of patriotism that Old Glory and our servicemen and women deserve? How do we resurrect the American dream and inspire hardworking families to once again believe that they can leave their children more than they had, and that if they work hard enough, anything is possible in the greatest nation in the world? Well, it starts with believing just that we are, in fact, the greatest nation in the world, that democracy doesn't emanate from politicians and bureaucrats, but it flows directly from the people themselves, and it's their God-given right to govern themselves and set a path to determine their own destiny. I know of only one candidate that not only believes and preaches this, but has lived it and proves he knows how to deliver it: President Trump. Despite all of his trials and tribulations, being persecuted at every turn, former President Trump has been the only person willing and able to call the establishment hacks and their band of radical woke liberals out on their policies. Donald Trump speaks his mind, supports the rights of parents and business owners. He stands up for the flag, believes in God, and most importantly, he loves our country and believes that with enough hard work and sacrifice that we can continue to lead the world. And I know it's a tall order, but he can and he will right this ship. I know one thing: if I was still an active duty Marine, I'd follow him, and I'd thank God every day that he was my commander-in-chief. The irony is that the very way to fix and secure our democracy is by electing Donald Trump, the one person the establishment media and radical woke mob has labeled as the dictator or fascist seeking to destroy that very democracy. They pack the fake news with anyone who they can find from the administration that will speak bad about him or try to stop his reelection.
Fundamentally, a second Trump term could mean the end of American democracy as we know it. And I don't say that lightly.
People in general have short memories, and so they might forget the chaos of the Trump years. And also, they might not just be paying attention to what he's saying now and the threat to democracy that exists.
Now we're completely splitting down the middle. On one side, that's the truth, and that is reality, and the other side is propaganda and lies. This is a fundamental election to continue to safeguard our institutions and our constitutional republic.
Everyone keeps asking me, why? Why do they hate Trump so much? Because they're petrified of him. They're petrified he'll become the next president of the United States. They know his presidency will expose all their dirty secrets and true motives, their greed, personal gain, their desire to control your future and that of your family, friends, and businesses. But their schemes to stop Trump aren't working. The American people see through the swamp's agenda. Yet another new poll showing Trump with an edge on Biden. America's future in 2024 is looking brighter day by day.